Hello?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
How's it going with you, sir?
It's going pretty good.
Watching a show that fully came out on FX
Oh,
called The Old Man.
let me do the
Oh,
introduction
they
real
haven't
quick.
got started yet? Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Um, hey, everybody out there. This is Kenoshi Abominito, uh, Project Console, episode 60, um, frames per second. So, so before we get onto our topics, like my panelist member to introduce himself and say what he's been playing and what he's been watching.
This is the Red Fox, owner prior to BS Busters. I've been playing Persona 5, uh, but I've reached the point in every RPG where I hit a wall and I got to go play something else. So I'm thinking of starting a run of Daggerfall, which is an old Bethesda game from way back in the day. It's the
Uh,
second game in their franchise.
oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've also been watching the Old Man and FX series, where Jeff Bridges plays an old Black Ops operative who, after 30 years, an old enemy has requested his head, and it's one of those old person revenge shows where it's like they like a whole bunch of young people who are like, oh, he's old, he's retired. They've ascribed to the FAAFO series of mess around and find out. In
Yeah.
this case, he's got two Rottweilers called Carol and Dave, plus a particular set of skills. And it's Jeff Bridges has been through some stuff lately. Like he had COVID, he had cancer. Like he's been through a lot. He always looked kind of grizzled, but he's really grizzled these days. So it's like you already know as soon as these people show up, it's like y'all just mess with the right one today or the wrong one, depending on which end of the stick you're gonna be on.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, so my so I've been playing. I started playing Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Um, I played it. Started playing it a while ago, but then something happened and I lost my save file. I didn't feel like starting all over again, but I started playing that game. That game's pretty good. So far,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And I watched there's a Batman animated movie that came out a few years ago based off the Return of the Return of the Dark Knight, which seems to be something that's been aped several times throughout the past. I don't know when did that comic come out? Uh,
86.
yeah, so about
Yeah, it's the
40
basically the
years.
Dark Knight Returns has been the template for every Batman movie in existence since, except for the two Schumacher films.
Yeah,
But every other Batman film just keeps on aping the Dark Knight Returns. It's really, frankly, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm tired of them aping that comic because I don't think the Dark Knight Returns is really that good.
yeah. I I watched the movie because I haven't really didn't experience the
The
comic.
comic, yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting. What I thought you actually liked the comic. Why don't you why don't you like it? It comes off does it just come off to try hard?
No, no. Here's the problem with Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns comic is a parody. It was meant to be a parody. And like
Oh.
so many people take it so seriously. Like you saw both parts of the Dark Knight Returns, right? Part 1 and part 2, right?
Yeah.
Like part 1 is actually really interesting because you have Batman coming back after like what 20 years of not being Batman or like 15, like a long period of time. And like he's like if he starts off, he gets his ass kicked because he's like, I'm still young, I can do all that shit. And this gang beats the shit out of him. Like they fuck him up. I'm like, God damn, Batman. And then he comes back with his new Robin. He's like, okay, wait a second. I am Batman. I cannot let these people not be afraid of me. But I can't. I'm not like I was back in the day where I could just like tank all these hits and I could take anyone out. He uses his brain. He's like, okay, look, I'm gonna get this gang down in the mud where I have the advantage and I'm gonna fuck these dudes up. And he does, and it's like the dude's like, what are you gonna do in here? He's like, no, this isn't a mud pit. This is an operating table. And he starts breaking these dudes like limbs and shit. I'm like, God damn, Batman. The part 1 of the Dark Knight Returns is amazing, but then they start bringing in the parody of Superman. And no one ever understands that that is not how Superman's supposed to be. They both become caricatures of what they're supposed to be. That's the whole
Ah.
point of Dark Knight Returns. Is that
Oh. Okay.
it's a parody. It's not you're not supposed to take it seriously. Okay, it's not supposed to
Yeah.
be the gospel. And if you ever read the comic, it gets even worse. Like the Dark Knight Returns is where like later on Bane winds up losing his memory and he becomes Batman's protege. It's weird.
Yeah, and then apparently Zack Snyder tried to borrow from that particular animated movie. And is it that the comic to you is it that the comic isn't very good because in hindsight because everybody trying to ape it, or do you just objectively think it's not very good?
Not so much that it's not good because everyone's trying to ape it. The reason the Dark Knight comic isn't good is because, well, no, actually that is it. I had it backwards. It's because there are so many great Batman stories. Why does everyone keep on gravitating towards this one?
Yeah.
Because think about it. Tim Burton's Batman is heavily influenced by Baroque style art stylings and The Dark Knight Returns. Batman Returns, Dark Knight Returns. The two Schumacher films are throwbacks to 60s Batman. And while I don't like those films, I think Batman and Robin jumps the shark a lot, no pun intended. Um, I do like the change in tone. It's more campy. Then the Nolan films. Those films are heavily influenced by The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Like even and I love the Batman from Matt Reeves, but that film is heavily influenced by it's like there's a myriad. I mean, imagine if you will, um like it's the same problem with Spider-Man that like every iteration of Spider-Man we get is Spider-Man when he's in high school. or he's just getting into college. I want to see Spider-Man as Spider-Man, where he's like in his 30s, he's living his life, he's got a handle on being Spider-Man and having a relationship, but he's still got supervillains he's got to deal with. Like Spider-Man when he's got his shit together. I'm tired of seeing Spider-Man. Oh, gee. Oh, Aunt May might find out I'm Spider-Man. Oh, joy. Oh, no. Mary Jane. I got a balance going out with Mary Jane and hanging out with my friends and saving the city. Like, I'm tired of that version of Spider-Man. We've seen it forever.
Yeah.
We need a break.
Well, the thing is, and you know, I remember watching a Movie Bob video before he lost his damn mind. But I remember watching. You remember Movie Bob
Yeah,
Chipman?
Bob Chipman. Yeah.
Yeah. He made a video. I think it was about. It was about kids. Like, I'm not. I can't exactly remember, but he brought up the Dark Knight, basically about how. I think he was defending, Nintendo and the fact that they still make family-friendly stuff. So he brought up the Dark Knight Returns as an example of, the comic book industry. I guess was in his video he was in a slump, so it was sort of a way to bring old fans because they grew up, so it was assumed that they didn't read comic books anymore to bring older fans back because obviously adults have money to comic books, so that's why the whole darker tone of Batman was created to bring back older fans. It's kind of how a lot of these mature games are seen to be pushed heavier. Because again, adults typically have money versus kids that really don't have money. They usually have to ask their parents for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Children don't have money. Children don't have jobs.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm just saying that as an adult who has money, that I like. It's kind of like this, right? Imagine if you had imagine if Star Wars never went beyond talking about like the old shit. There was no expanded universe. It's always forever and ever and ever. We're always just going to talk about Return of the Jedi, like the original trilogy, and that's it. Now, I don't like the way Disney did it, but for a long time you had the expanded universe, which went beyond that. Like there was other shit that they talked about, which made Star Wars more enjoyable. And that's where I'm kind of like it's like it's the same thing with Superman. Like, how many times do we have to see Krypton explode? How many times do we have to have like? There's so many really great Superman runs that Same thing with Spider-Man. Same with Captain America. Same thing with the Hulk. Same thing with there's a bevy of material. You don't have to keep on reiterating the same 3 or 4 stories over and over again, which is the problem. Even Tom Holland's Spider-Man, basically Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy is a reiteration of what they did in other films in one film.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see a Spider-Man movie where he's an adult and he has his shit together. Like that'd be great. That'd be
great. Could you imagine a Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man is like his personal life? Yeah, he's making it work. Like, give me a Spider-Man where he's in the Tobey Maguire in the last Spider-Man film, where he's like, yeah, me and Mary Jane, we made it. I'm holding my shit together, and my life is pretty good. I don't know what the fuck y'all did. You're a terrible Spider-Man. You got your Aunt May killed. You ain't shit. But and you're killing people. What the fuck is wrong with you? In what universe is Tobey Maguire Spider-Man the good one? but seriously, I want to see a movie where that Spider-Man's like, because that's how it is in the comics for a lot of good runs for Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, I have a job. I don't work at the Daily Planet anymore. I'm like a teacher. I've got a girlfriend. In some iterations, he might have his relationship's stable, but he's still got to like, hey. I gotta grade these papers, but the rhinos rampaging downtown, so I gotta balance. I gotta balance stopping the rhino, not getting too injured, and grading these damn papers. Like, I want to see that Spider-Man. I'm tired of, oh, with great power must also come great responsibility. It's like, man, look, I love you, Uncle Ben. You're awesome. You're the only Uncle Ben that I'll support because that damn rice can go fuck itself. But seriously, there's other stories that you could do
Like,
in these universes, okay?
man, I cringe every time I hear that quote. Not because it's a bad quote, it's because I hear it a lot. And it's just kind of like, oh, with great power comes great responsibility. I mean, that's a decent movie quote. It's just,
They even get it
it's
wrong.
a cliche. Yeah.
They even get it wrong. That's not the quote. The quote is, Peter, with great power must also come great responsibility.
Yeah.
He's literally telling Peter, yes, you have these amazing abilities, but you also have to use like great abilities means that you can't just go use them whatever and do whatever the hell you want. That's how Peter's selfishness is what basically at least to Peter doomed his Uncle Ben. Okay? And ironically, the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, his selfishness is what got his Aunt May killed. Because he should have just been like, look, Daredevil got me out of being sued by the world and got me out of this Mysterio shit. I'm not gonna be able to go to college with my friends. Oh well, that's life. I'm a grown-up. You're not gonna always get what you want. But he's like, I'll use magic to get whatever I want. His selfishness got his Aunt May killed.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah. That's my only real problem with back to the Batman thing is that there are a bevy of great Batman stories, and we will never get to them because Hollywood just refuses. Like that's why I like Matt Reeves' The Batman because we didn't have to see Thomas and Martha Wayne get shot. I didn't have to see him being going to. I mean, he goes to the grave like once at the end of the movie, but for the rest of the time, he's just like, look. Like for the first 2/3 of Matt Reeves' The Batman, Batman is not a hero. He's a vigilante. He's just as much as a criminal as the people he's fighting against. As a matter of fact, the end of the movie, he's like beating up this guy. He's like, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "Well, I'm vengeance." And then his own words are thrown back at him. He's like, "Oh shit, I need to be better. I need to be better. I'm part of the problem." And like at the end of the movie, he's like, "No, I have to be Batman," you know, because it was a verse of the famous line done by the best Batman, Kevin Conroy. He's like, "Look, I am vengeance. I am terror. I am the night. I am Batman." Right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's all I'm saying is this. Like the Dark Knight is great within and of itself. But if you apply the Dark Knight to every fucking Batman movie we've gotten in the last, Batman '89, Batman '91, the two Burton films, even Forever. I'm gonna put Forever because Forever was also kind of dark too. So 3 Batman films, then Batman and Robin's more campy, like '60s. But then all the Nolan trilogies heavily influenced by the Dark Knight, except more grounded. Like that's like most of the Batman films we've gotten are like worshiping on the altar of Dark Knight Returns, and I'm like, there's like years of Batman comics, and this is the only one you focus on.
Yeah. I mean, Brave and the Bold was, from what little I saw of it, because I didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty deep. It went for a more lighthearted tone versus everything else, which I thought was interesting for Batman because I was more interested because I was more used to the more.
You were used to Batman animated series. Here's what I'll say about Brave and the Bold. Brave and the Bold, on the surface, appeared like an homage to 1960s Batman, but the writing was really good, really smart. If you have HBO Max and Brave and the Bold is still on there, I advise you go and watch it. It is really good, and the writing is really good. Like Alfred writes a fanfic where he's like he imagines Bruce and Catwoman get together, and they give up their life for crime and just live a normal life. And he's like, could you imagine? Like, Alfred's the only real family Batman has. His fantasy is him just being normal. He's like, stop doing this shit and just be normal. What's wrong with you? But the hilarious thing about it is that like one of the it has these openings that are like their own little short stories, and then it goes into the main thing. One of the openings is Batman and Green Arrow being caught in a trap by Catwoman, and Green Arrow's like, look, if you two could stop flirting, we could can we please get out of the trap, Batman? And he's still talking to her and everything. He's like, and Green Arrow's like, he's like, wait a second, you two are flirting. You're totally flirting with the villain. He's like, we're trapped in this damn death trap, and cats are about to claw us to death, and you're flirting with Catwoman. And I'm like, it's stuff like that. Like Brave and the Bold, don't let the art style of Brave and the Bold get in the way of how well written it was. Even the Batman, which the art style of that show, like the redesign of the Joker, kind of I wasn't too crazy about. Even the Batman was pretty good. So yeah, you can't let the art style get in the way of you enjoying a show, except unless the art style is so egregiously bad that it just turns you off. But Brave and the Bold, like after a while, I was just like, it's not bad. And Diedrich Bader does a really good job of doing his own version of a Batman.
Yeah.
Like, but I was like, if it's not I was one of those, if it's not Kevin Conroy doing the voice, fuck it. And then I heard Diedrich Bader, I'm like, it's pretty good.
Yeah. But let's jump into these topics.
All right.
For our first topic, Callisto Protocol underperformed. Apparently shipped like 5 million copies, and they didn't really meet that goal. I think one of the biggest problems with that game is it looked, and by what I've heard, it looked and played too much like Dead Space, and some of the elements of Dead Space are dated, and it also made the game a little too predictable. Like, they were essentially aping Dead Space to the point where it wasn't as distinguishable from the original game. I don't know. Have you played it?
From what I heard, the game is, it's made by the guy who made Dead Space, so
yeah.
I'm like people are like apes. But it's made by the people who made the original Dead Space. What did you expect?
Yeah, I guess people were expecting something a little bit different, but yeah. At the same time, it's like, don't a guy don't go into a ramen shop expecting steak.
No, you can get steak in a ramen shop, and they have some cuts of meat that you can get in ramen that's way better than just normal steak. But that's like going to a taco restaurant and being like, I want pizza. Why are you expecting pizza in a taco restaurant? Like, if you go to a taqueria, you're gonna get tacos.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna get. Yeah. And don't be going up there asking for something that's not tacos. Like, I don't understand the hate. What I think is that people really liked the idea of a game basically like Dead Space, coming out, but they didn't really think about what that actually meant, because Dead Space was revolutionary for the time, but it really, if you look at it from a grander point of view, Dead Space isn't really, it's just a horror game.
Yeah, it's Resident Evil in space. It uses, obviously, that's not entirely fair, because it did do.
There's more to it than that. Yeah, there's more to it than that, and it had really good set pieces. Yeah, it had really good set pieces. That's not my issue. Is just like people are like, oh my god, this is like, I'm like, do you not understand what was actually going on here? Because I'm like, that's what you were supposed to like. Like, people are like, oh, well, what? I'm like, what did you think the game was going to be?
Yeah. I think the problem is, people wanted something something radically different, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, well, I mean, maybe maybe people just have to admit to themselves that they kind of grew out of the Dead Space formula. I mean,
I
that's
mean, I'm not going to say that much. I'm just going to say that I'm going to keep it real. The only thing you could do to the Dead Space formula at this point is instead of like Dead Space was you were essentially going through linear levels and then you accomplish an objective and then go to a new area. There was not a lot of backtracking. The only thing I could say that would change the Dead Space right now is if they essentially did a Dead Space game where it was more of a sandbox or like semi-open world, like a Metroid Prime or something. But even then, it's like at a certain point, it's just like, okay, well, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
you know, I didn't play it because I'm just not into most like. I never was that into Dead Space. I know a lot of people liked it. Oh, Dead Space, it's amazing. I was like, it's okay. I'm not.
I'm just
Oh
not.
my god, it's the best shit ever.
Yeah, I'm just not into horror games that much. But
No, I like horror games. I just don't really give a shit. It just Dead Space never did anything for me.
yeah,
You know, not every horror game. Look, not every horror game is gonna do it for everybody. Okay, some horror games people are gonna love. Some horror games people aren't gonna love. Like you give me something like Painkiller or uh fucking shit. What was the other one? Damn, forgot the name of it. It'll come to me. You give me something like Painkiller or RE4, which is more actiony. Um, I love shit like that. But, you know, I mean, not everything is for everybody. I don't know why people don't understand that. And here's the thing. Horror games are niche anyway. What the fuck did they expect? It was going to sell like 10 million copies for a niche IP, for a niche genre.
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of curious who published Callisto Protocol.
I think it was an indie publisher. Maybe it was, what's it called? Embracer Group? I don't know. Suffice it to say,
Callisto Protocol publisher. Uh, Company called Crafton.
it's definitely some
Blue
smaller
Hole
stuff.
Inc. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's Crafton was the publisher. Yeah, I've never heard of this company, so
So more of an indie publisher. Yeah, they overestimated the market's want because it's a niche IP.
yeah,
You know, it's like someone saying, "Hey, man, you need to catch lightning in the bottle again." That is unrealistic as all hell.
I mean, the thing is, that Resident Evil is, I mean, that's a household name, but you don't necessarily have, outside of Resident Evil when it comes to horror games. You have what, Silent Hills, and that's been dormant forever now. It seems like.
Yeah, but you also have to factor in, like, here's the thing though. Capcom has been making Resident Evils for years. When was the last Dead Space? Like 10 years ago?
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
And EA fucked it up by putting in all that bullshit. So
Yeah,
the last time people played a game in this genre, it was not great.
yeah,
So I mean, it's like like I said, what they should have done was maybe go for a smaller thing.
yeah, yeah. They should have done something like that.
Like a smaller game, maybe ship 1 million or make it DLC downloadable only. Or they overestimated how much it was going to be.
Yeah,
So people are like, oh. But from here's the thing: the people that I've seen play it, like I think what would it have like a 70 on Metacritic, the game,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a
I think
70.
so.
like for the crowd. I mean, critical thing because a critic is going to look at something differently than Joe Blow average consumer.
Yeah.
So I mean, for them, it was just good enough. I mean, I don't know why people are like, oh, like, look, man, they got what they wanted and they're happy with it. Why are you mad at someone enjoying something?
It's actually one of the rare times where critics and user score actually
Aligned.
matches.
So what was it,
Yeah.
like a 60?
Six. Yeah, it was like a 68, 69.
Okay, so
60.
that's still fresh.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get it when it's half price if you're interested in playing it. But in any case, it's it looks like they put a lot of money into that game too.
Yeah, I mean, it
Graphics
does look like a AAA game.
yeah.
It does look like a AAA game. But ultimately, like I said, let those people play what they want to play. Shit. You know? I mean, it didn't do anything for me. I wasn't looking forward to the game, but,
Um,
I don't like everything. I'm a very niche type of gamer. You know? But anyway.
I let's see. There was 200 billion won, which is I guess a Chinese currency. U.S. it was about 165.5 million dollars in development slash marketing costs. So it wasn't cheap to make. Yeah.
And it was made by a Chinese company?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, then. Then fuck them. I don't care. I don't care about Chinese developers. Fuck them. I'm
Man.
sorry. I mean, look, man, it's a communist country. When they get stronger, we get weaker. So fuck them.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, uh, Valve had a little leak a few days ago. Apparently, Valve had a Giga leak where a lot of their older stuff got leaked out on the internet, like prototype textures and levels, and various other things pertaining to their games like Portal, Half-Life. So expect new maps and stuff to show up, I guess. Valve really hasn't. I haven't heard Valve say anything about it. I
I don't
mean,
think they care.
I don't think they care either. They know people mod their games all the time. I don't think they really care.
I mean, let's keep it real. Mods make certain games get better with mods.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would I get mad about people modding? You know, but the only reason Bethesda games are enjoyable is because you can mod them.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't play. I'll keep it 100%. There's games I wouldn't play a Bethesda game if I couldn't mod it.
Yeah.
But that's my own personal opinion. To each his own.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's really not much to say about this. It's not like, you know, it's not like the world's burning down or anything. So,
It's just like the thing is like there's nothing in the leak that is surprising. Like if they said, hey, they're working on Left 4 Dead 3, they're like, oh, that's amazing. Or hey, they're working on Half-Life 3 or Portal 3 or But I mean, ultimately, as we all know, Valve can't count to 3. So
nope.
when 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 Lord Gaben is counting his piles of money, no threes are allowed. He goes, let's see, 100, 200, 400. Like he just counts two $100 bills. 400, 600, 700, 800, 900. 1,000? He never counts the 3. It's like he just gets 3s out of there. So, I mean, look, here's what I think. I think that the leak happened. I think some people are going to be like, oh my God, I don't really give a shit. I'm just going to. I know some people are going to get mad when they hear that. They're going to be like, oh, what do you mean? I mean, I use Valve all the time. Valve has been pretty good. Valve is one of the few almost monopolies where I'm like, I don't feel bad about this being a monopoly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, their system is pretty open. Like, it's not like they're not necessarily a company that you hear a lot of bad press or any bad press about. Maybe you had the Steam machines, which was a complete cluster of a project that they had
Yeah,
a
but
few
but,
years
but that
ago.
was them fucking up just because they didn't know how to do it properly.
Yeah, yeah,
That wasn't like it was like okay, that was incompetence. That wasn't maliciousness. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
It was like,
Yeah,
oh, we haven't made hardware in a long time, if ever. So because on paper, if someone said, "Hey, you want to produce a console, but you don't have the means to produce it yourself," well, come up with the specs and license it out to a whole bunch of manufacturers. But the problem is that if you're doing a console, that is not a smart thing to do because as gamers, we've seen multiple examples of companies doing that, and every time it failed. The 3DO tried that shit, and it failed miserably.
yeah,
You cannot have a console go through different manufacturers because all of them are going to price out their parts differently, and you're going to have different SKUs, and you're going to confuse consumers, and it's just going to be a mess.
yeah. You can't have an open source console. It has to be a unified system.
Oh, you could have an open source console, but like basically it would have to be some shit like a Google console.
Yeah,
Oh, not a Google. It'd have to be an Android based console where everything runs off of a unified OS operating system. That's the only way you could do it.
yeah.
And I'm not against that. Some people are like, oh well, I don't care.
So, moving on. Unless there's something else you'd like to bring up about the Valve leak.
No, no, I got nothing else to say. Oh, you got
FF16
nothing
is
else
a
to say.
PS. FF16 is a PS5 exclusive. So there's a tweet came out a few days ago. I believe the director of the game. It was translated and it basically said, um, well, PC version of Final Fantasy 16. What are you talking about? Buy a PS5 because obviously either they got money from Sony because I think Sony a couple of years ago bought a bunch of stock from Square Enix, and so this game might be exclusive for a pretty long time on the PlayStation 5.
Makes sense.
Just because they probably want to make that money back as much as that money back as they can because it's an expensive project and not to mention they obviously want to keep Sony on their side. So yeah, if you really want to play this game, gotta pick up a PS5.
Let's keep it 100%. Sony. Um,
Yep, Sony.
Sony, okay. Sony made it big because they basically commandeered the relationship that Nintendo had with Square Enix, with SquareSoft. And basically the only place you could get JRPGs was the PlayStation. And that's why the PlayStation took off in Japan.
Yeah,
Now, we went from getting 3 Final Fantasies within a console generation. So basically you were getting one Final Fantasy every 18 months in Japan plus other shit Squaresoft was making. 2, you might get one Final Fantasy every 10 years these days. And I know people say, what about Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 13, 1, 2, and 3. Those weren't Final Fantasy games. That was some shit that they were prototyping, and they were like, "We got to have a Final Fantasy," and they slapped the Final Fantasy name on the shit just to get it out the door.
Yeah.
Okay. Square Enix has a game pipeline problem with their Final Fantasy series. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I think it's because they got rid of Hironobu Sakaguchi. Because that motherfucker, like I said, that motherfucker got out 3 games per console gen.
Yeah.
The NES, you got Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. SNES, Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6. PlayStation, the PS1, 7, 8, and 9. On the PS2, you got 2, 10 and 10-2. And arguably, you could say 12. So you got 3. You still got 3 Final Fantasies. And then you get the fucking PS3, which I don't care what anyone says. Final Fantasy 13, 1, 2, and 3, those are not Final Fantasy games. I don't know what that shit is. It ain't Final Fantasy. 15, not Final Fantasy. So, all I'm saying is this. Square Enix has a pipeline problem, and they're just losing money like no one's business. So,
Yeah.
They got a choice. They got a choice. Square Enix has to do what they can in order to basically make ends meet. But here's the problem. In order for their games are so expensive to make. In order for them to make money, they have to be released on multiple. They need multiple releases on multiple platforms. And just being on the PlayStation platform is fucking them. That's why you're seeing games come to the Epic Game Store.
Yeah.
Because they need an extra platform to get games to come out.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to. I mean, it'll probably be good for them in the short term, but in the long term, probably not. They'll sell a few million, probably out the gate, but
yeah, but the thing is that the games they make are too niche. Like Final Fantasy it used to be an event game. Those numbers aren't really there for Final Fantasy like it used to be because you're only getting it on one platform. And there are people back in the day that would get a PlayStation just to play RPGs. I was one of them.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I didn't get Kingdom Hearts 3. I didn't get the Kingdom Hearts trilogy. Yeah. I mean, I've never liked Kingdom Hearts, but if the only way I could play Kingdom Hearts was getting a Switch or a PlayStation, I'm not getting a PlayStation for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, my point behind all this is to simply say this. Square Enix wants to they want to globalize and reach all these different audiences, but the devil's bargain they made with Sony is screwing them over.
Well, the thing is, it'll probably end up on PC because those kind of games, like JRPGs, whether they're action RPGs or turn-based stuff, they do fairly well on PC. Sometimes they do better on PC than they do on PlayStation. So, I don't necessarily think they're going to completely leave that market out. But, I mean, it's a possibility. They could be like, you know what, we're keeping this on PlayStation 5. If you want to play it, pick up PS5. We're not porting it over. Yeah. But
I think you might eventually get it on another console, but it's not going to be in this gen.
Yeah.
It's just, that's just the way it is, Just like you eventually got Persona 5 on other systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just took a hell of a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, being a PC gamer for probably the last decade. I started gaming on PC 2013, 2014. You're used to waiting for stuff. Not to mention, I already have a ton of games to play as it is to catch up on as it is.
I look at my Steam library. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there's a Steam sale. I'm like, well, I'm gonna get some more shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So my point behind all this is to simply say this: Square Enix desperate. Square Enix wants to grow their they want to grow the Final Fantasy franchise, forgetting that they got two choices. They can either put that shit on everything, which is, I mean, you want to know how Capcom was so successful with Street Fighter, because Street Fighter was on everything.
Yeah.
Like every Street Fighter game that's been a console exclusive or only on one platform, those games did poorly.
Yeah.
So it would seem that if they want Final Fantasy to grow and reach a larger audience, they have to get it off of the PlayStation. Well, not off, but just off as being exclusive to one platform.
Yeah, exclusives don't work as well as they used to for a lot of these third-party companies.
Yeah. Now, if you're first party or second party, you can swing it. Third
Yeah.
party, no.
I mean, the same crowd isn't on PlayStation, like they were
No,
back in the 90s. They're
because they went to
scattered.
PC. They went
Yeah,
to
they went
PC.
PC. Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of the JRPGs you can get on PC, so why would I go and get? I mean, because I'm one of them. I used to be the only reason I got a PlayStation 2 was for the RPGs.
Yeah.
But where are the RPGs on the PS4 or the PS5?
There aren't a lot, or there's not really any that stand out. Maybe except your occasional, your occasional, Square Enix title or
I mean, but
Tales
let's
of
keep it real,
title.
man. Square Enix hasn't made a good RPG in years. Final Fantasy 15 was trash.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13, that entire trilogy is trash.
And these are exciting. I thought the first Bravely Default for the 3DS, aside from the gotcha mechanics that they put in the game, I thought that was
You
a
mean
pretty decent game.
you mean the microtransactions they put in the second game? Because the first one, they had them in there, but they were so half-assed. Like the developers, like, I ain't doing that shit.
Yeah.
Like it was so half-assed. It was like, yeah, the developers were like, we're just making a game. We're not trying to fuck over our consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you could spend real money on our special potions, or you can just put it in sleep mode and just get it. It's like, yeah, which is
That's
what
what I
most people
did.
did.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, I'm gonna put my 3DS to sleep and go do something else, and then come back. Oh, I got these super potions. Now I can fight this boss. It's
I mean, it was. I mean, I liked it because I mean, it did have a nice little twist to the the old turn based stuff, and it was a
Brave
relatively simple.
default. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a relatively simple story with an interesting twist. So I was just like,
yeah.
this wasn't too bad. I mean, it's too bad they gotta rely on their smaller studios to make
To make
interesting.
good RPGs.
Yeah. Octopath Traveler is okay, but the story felt fragmented. I really wish they did a better job at aligning the characters
I think
story together.
I gotta kind of disagree. I think the story for Octopath Traveler was pretty good. It's just the problem with the game is that they don't really explain that if you want to get the story in a more linear fashion, you have to play it a certain way. They
Yeah.
don't tell you that. Like they don't tell you that you should really start the game as the scholar, because his story, his main story actually has way more in common. Like his story is like the way the story follows, like his story touches on the main overarching goals of the major villain in the game. He's actually more like the protagonist of the damn game. They don't really tell you that. It's like choose any of the 8 characters, do whatever the hell you want. I can't wait till Octopath Traveler 2 comes out next month. I'm totally gonna get it on PC because fuck getting it on the Switch because that game is hard, and I'm gonna cheat, get a trainer, so I can level up my job points. My class is easier.
Yeah.
Give myself all of the monies so I can buy the best shit as soon as I go into town instead of grinding.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and Dragon Quest 3 done in the same engine. I want both those games so bad. Yeah, a lot of Square Enix games are finally starting to come to PC and other platforms. They're coming to the Switch. And if I was a Nintendo only gamer, like I was, well, I've never been a Nintendo only gamer. I've always had multiple platform consoles. But I mean, having other options to play games is always good. You know,
Yeah.
it's the reason why if you live in a place that has multiple, what's it called? Shit, I forgot the name. If you live someplace that has multiple movie theaters, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Definitely.
Yeah, you don't want to go someplace where you only have one place where you can watch movies. So you know what that means? That means you have one place where people can literally just do whatever the hell they want. You know, they can charge you what they want. They can overcharge you for stuff. The service can be shit, but you have no choice because that's the closest place to watch movies. Why would you accept that? You want options.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know why people don't understand that. Options are a good thing. You know, especially with gaming. You know, so if someone's acting funky, you can go someplace else and be like, "Oh, this guy's acting funky."
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine, then I'll go someplace else.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not. Doesn't necessarily bother me too much. I was just I mean, everybody's so used to everything being unified. Being being on having a smartphone or whatever. But if you grew up in a smartphone, having a smartphone or having a tablet, everything just kind of works and
Yeah, but even
transfers and
then,
everything
shit
else.
wasn't unified. But even then, shit wasn't unified. There was shit that was only on the Apple App Store.
Yeah,
So things have never been all unified, and you can have everything on everything. It's never been like that. It's never been like that. Like even back in the day, there was certain stuff. Yeah, you might have seven different versions of Pong, but one version of Pong would be superior to the other ones.
I was saying everything. Let me rephrase that. Not everything. Not there. Obviously, the App Store. There's certain apps that are exclusive to apps or Apple, and there's certain apps that are exclusive to Google. I'm saying
Yeah,
is that there are a lot of apps that they do share.
oh,
But
that's true.
it's about a
That's
lot
true.
of games that they do share too. So a
That
lot of
is
the free
true.
to play stuff. But yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's
I
not.
get what you're saying now. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I agree. There is a lot of unity, but I mean, just overall in terms of gaming is what I'm talking about. Like gaming, like console gaming, PC gaming. There's just certain stuff. Like back in the day, there were certain games if you didn't have an Nvidia graphics card, couldn't run that game. I have
yeah.
games in my Steam library now I still can't play because I don't have an Nvidia graphics card, and I refuse to get one because I'm not cutting off a piece of my anatomy in order to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nvidia's like, you want our newest graphics card? I mean, it looks interesting. That'll be your firstborn child. I don't have a firstborn child. We'll take your left nut. No, I kind of need that. I kind of need that, sir. We'll leave you one. You can have a kid someday, maybe. It's like, no, Nvidia, no. Yeah, I built a new gaming PC, and I finally got all the parts together for it, and I got everything hooked up except for the graphics card. Graphics card's coming next week. I got a rebate where they're updating my 6700 that I got XT to a 6900 XT for $50 more. So they're gonna send me the card. I'm gonna send it back to them. They're gonna charge me $50, or like I have to turn in like a rebate thing, and then basically I get a 6900 XT instead. So it's pretty nice.
While we're on the topic of PC gaming,
Yeah,
going
nice
to the next
segue
time.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found this article. Found it kind of interesting. I
Hmm.
read a little bit of it. How often do you really need to upgrade your PC? It's very easy
It
to get carried.
depends.
It, it's very easy to get carried away with the excitement of a new product launch. If you're big or if you're a big old nerd like me, you see that some new graphics cards have arrived, and all you can all you can think about is cramming them into your PC at uh at wait putting them cramming them into your PC at putting them that should probably be and putting them through their paces with some crisp 4K gaming. But once the excitement of gaming once the excitement of getting an RTX or shiny new processor dies down, I find myself going back doing exactly what I did before, playing pixel art indie games like Long Hero and Into the Breach, titles that could probably run on a laptop powered by a hamster wheel. We often crave the latest hardware with a booming sense of FOMO that if you don't have the best kit, will will be swiftly left behind when new hardware arrives. Sure, the way our phones work doesn't help plan obsolescence and updates that slow down older hardware leaves us encouraged to replace our handsets every couple of years. And the regular stream of new PC parts on landing could lead you to think that the same would be true of your desktop computer or laptop. Let me be clear though, you don't need to upgrade your computer that frequently, no matter what Intel or NVIDIA tells you. In this article, I'm going to break down exactly when when do you need to upgrade it. Watch out for when the time comes. Um, wait a second. Okay. Yeah, I find that interesting because it's easy to get into the frame rate, get stuck into the frame race, get trapped in the frame race, and it's like, man, if I could just get a new graphics card, I could game at 4K 120 rather than 4K 99, or uh, or if I added a few more pieces of RAM, I could do this, or if I had a faster CPU, I could do this. Like it's easy to get caught up in the PC part hype, but next thing you know, you're spending all this money and doing all these tests, and then you're going back to what you were doing, what you were playing was stuff that wasn't necessarily that demanding in the first place. But at the same time, I can understand your PC's like 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, and you want to get hardware. Uh, so I mean, if you can afford the best of the best, you get hardware that you don't have to worry about for like 8 years or something crazy like that. What are your thoughts? When do you think you should upgrade your hardware?
How can I put this nicely without sounding like a dick? Um. Okay, I'm just gonna dive in. Here's what I think. I think upgrading your hardware isn't something to be taken lightly. I think that you should only upgrade your hardware for two reasons. First, if your hardware is so far beyond being useful for what the purposes you need it for, not what other people need it for, what you need it for, that it can no longer do what needs to be done. Okay? Um, that happens. All right? Or if the prices have reached the point where prices have come down to the point where you can get a moderate to better than moderate boost in performance for a decent price. Okay. Right now you can get mid upper tier Intel CPUs that have great performance. So if you can get a pre-built PC that has a better upgrade graphics card for under 2,000, you'll be good for the next 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even 10. So that's a pretty good value proposition is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this: it depends on, you should upgrade your PC if those are factors for you. If you are a PC gamer and most of the games you're playing don't require 2K graphics or anything like that, because personally speaking, the reason I built a new PC was that I have a 2K monitor. I looked it up. It's a 19 by 80. Here, let me. What the fuck is this monitor? It's it's a 1920 by 1080. That is a 2K monitor.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I kind of need a halfway decent graphics card. It's a 2K. My monitor is a 2K monitor with a 144 frame refresh rate.
Yep.
I cannot have a shitty graphics card for my monitor. Because I'll tell you right now, I've run some games. One of the reasons why I don't play my Switch that often anymore is because there's been times I've been playing games on my Switch, and the Switch is like, oh, we're in 2K mode, and this shit starts slowing down, and I'm like, it's going like sub. It's going like sub whatever.
Yeah. Hey, I'll be
it's
right
going
back.
sub 30 frames. Oh man.
Hey, I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Yeah, it starts going sub 30 frames. I can't deal with that, man. I can't. Like, for me, I don't care about graphics. I don't care about graphics. I don't need 1080p, 2K, 3K, 4K. What I want is smooth frame rates. If I can get solid 60 frames locked, I'm happy. If I can get above that, I'm cool too. But you cannot have it locked at a certain. If you can't get it locked in at 30 to 60 frames, then I don't need this thing dipping down to 17, 12, 7, 10, 23.
Yeah, and another thing about upgrading your PC when dealing with specifically with graphics cards, and to a certain degree, CPUs. Maybe not so much CPUs, because even if you go beyond, say, like a 7 SKU on the CPU, go to a 9 SKU, you can see some significant gains. But like when you go from, for example, with NVIDIA cards specifically, if you go beyond an 80 or an 80 Ti variant of that card, you're just spending more for less at that point.
Well, not necessarily. It's just the thing is that a lot of the newest cards that are out, You can't just take like okay. If I were to get a new graphics card for my PC, not the 79 series because I'm sticking with AMD because it's cheaper, but like the 67 series, I could take that and just put that in my machine, and the only other thing I'd have to upgrade is maybe my power source. That's it.
Yeah.
A lot of these new graphics cards and CPU sets, you either need an entirely new motherboard, so it's cost prohibitive for you to upgrade at this point. It's not like back in the day where you're, oh, I'm going from a 480 to like a 590. No, no,
Yeah.
it's not like that anymore. Things are
Yeah.
different now.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention
So
not to mention it's you also have to be mindful of other hardware. And sometimes you're just better off looking at the games you like to play and the game, maybe even the future games that you're interested in playing, if the recommended or minimum specs are available, and just choose your parts. Choose your parts that way. Choose your hardware that way rather than watching all these YouTube videos and getting sucked into all the crazy speed and power of the new 4090 or the new 7900 XT. I mean, unless it's something you need for whatever reason, but
if you are editing like videos, you're a streamer or you have a job where you have to like edit videos and remaster videos and shit like that, like, yeah, do whatever you need to do. I'm not gonna get in your way of what you need to do in order to do your job. But if you're just gaming, really the mid-tier cards are fine enough. The thing is like Nvidia has basically captured a huge amount of the market. Everyone's like, oh, Nvidia's winning. Here's what people don't tell you. Most of the Nvidia cards, if you go on a Steam survey, which you can go look up these numbers, most of the cards people are using are older generation Nvidia cards from like 2-3 generations ago. A lot of 1080s, a lot of 2080s, a lot of 3080s. The only high end cards that people are using the game on are hyper enthusiasts, which those cards are made for them because Joe Blow average consumer can't afford it.
yeah, yeah,
Joe Blow average consumer doesn't have $3,000 to buy a new graphics card because
yeah,
that's how much the prices are going to. Yeah, the MSRP might be uh sorry, the manufacturer retail pricing. Yeah, the MS retail service pricing might be the MRSP might be like 11.99, but after scalpers and resellers and rebadging and all that shit, it's gonna go up to 15, 18, $2,000. Then you add in taxes, 23, 24, $25,000. Then you factor in shipping and insurance, because if your shit gets lost, you damn sure are gonna want a replacement. $3,000 for a card.
So the at the top of the list, I'm looking at the Steam hardware results. You have the uh, NVIDIA GTX 1650. Below
There you
that is
go.
the
Yeah, that's
NVIDIA
old. That's like 2-3 generations ago.
NVIDIA at the second place. We have the NVIDIA 1060.
Yep.
And then let's go all the way down. Let's see where the 4090
I don't even think it's
falls
on there.
under.
I don't think it's on there. Because who the fuck is going to afford one? I mean, who's cutting off their left nut to get a 4090?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know about you. I need that.
yeah, yeah. So
I'm being facetious, by the way. Please don't. Please, for the love of God, don't come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're being a dick." Look, man. It's a joke. It's a joke, folks. It's jokes. These are jokes.
yeah, Well, I'll just say it doesn't. The 4080 and the 4090 don't even crack the top 10. So
Yeah.
don't get too worked up about getting the best of the best of the best. I think what 3080 is at. Um, let's see where the 3080 is at. It's at 0.3%. One point. Actually, wait. What does that say? Um, I don't know why Steam always translates into this weird language on Google. But yeah, it's the percentages that use the higher ends are
It's low.
pretty low. Yeah.
Yeah, it's low. Like, I mean, I didn't have a command of the exact numbers, but I am familiar with some articles that talked about it. And most of the cards people are using are old stuff because they aren't upgrading.
Yeah.
People have a 1080 and they're happy with their 1080. The only reason I upgraded my PC years ago to a 5700 was because my old card was like a 590, like the top 590X. And I was like, I'm getting to the point now where I got a little bit of extra money. I think my taxes had come in and I'd gotten a bigger rebate than I was expecting. I was like, you know what? Um, I'm gonna upgrade my graphics card, and I upgraded the CPU and the GPU. I got a Ryzen, I got a 3700 X, and I got a 5700 XT.
More people. It's kind of funny. More people are gaming on Mac OS X than they are on Linux.
Yeah,
Surprisingly,
it makes sense.
Yeah, but
You know, I mean, why? I don't know because I'm one of those people that grew up in the age where like people are like I have a Mac. Oh, you poor child. You want a game on a Mac? Oh Lord, why? Why would you do that? Your parents don't love you. They want productivity, not gaming.
yeah, and primary display resolution. You have 1024 by 760, 768, which I think is somewhere around 720p.
Yeah.
And 1920 by 1080, 1.6%. Um, and then you have 3840 by 2160, 3140 by 1440, which I think is below 1440p and 4K. Again, it's people who are gaming 4K or beyond 4K. Those people are way at the bottom.
Yeah, because Joe Blow average consumer isn't even doing that shit. Like, I
Yeah,
keep on telling people this. The vast majority of people who play these games, who are gaming, are not going top of the line. And that's okay.
yeah, yeah. And it's just interesting to see what most people are doing, and I watch a lot of these YouTube channels, a lot of these PC gaming YouTube channels, and interesting to see that a lot of people aren't aren't you leave that world for a second. You realize, oh, people aren't gaming on hardware like that. They aren't great. Most people
No.
aren't gaming on hardcore you know, 3080s, 4090s,
No,
70. Yeah, most people aren't doing that, which is all
no,
right.
no.
It's not a big deal.
I mean, I built a PC the way I wanted is just because like I said, it started with me getting a 2K monitor. Okay, I got a 2K monitor and I realized that my graphics card was holding it back. I also want to start streaming on Twitch and I realized that my memory was holding it back. So there's still some other stuff I want to do. I want to get 2 sticks of 32 gig uh memory RAM to put in there. So then when I'm like streaming, my computer isn't fighting for resources.
Yeah, yeah,
But once I do that, my new PC is going to be a beast.
yep.
All right. And I also got I put a liquid cooled all-in-one cooler because I mean my RGB AMD fan is nice, but liquid cooling is so much nicer because it's quieter. You don't have to hear the fucking fan going. It also keeps stuff way cooler than a fan because a fan is just moving air. Liquid cooling, you have like, you know, the liquid inside of the liquid cooling can hold on to a lot more energy. So while liquid cooling ironically uses more energy to use, it saves energy in the long run because it keeps your CPU cooler and therefore your CPU doesn't have to work as hard to do shit.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, moving on to our last segment of the night. Free topic.
All right.
Any free topic you like to bring up?
I do have a free topic. I thought I'd discuss it. Um, let's see. I have a list here. I was going to cover it in my cast tomorrow, but we can cover it now. 10 greatest JRPGs of all time. I'm going to read them out. I want to see if people agree or disagree. Number 10, Skies of Arcadia.
I played a little bit of it. I haven't really played enough to make um, an
Really
opinion on
good.
it. But yeah,
It's
I've
really
heard good
good.
things about it. Yeah.
Let me explain why Skies of Arcadia is so good. The team that made Skies of Arcadia made Phantasy Star 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So basically, each iteration of Phantasy Star got better with each iteration. So you have a team that had honed their RPG making chops through multiple iterations until they took all the lessons they learned and put it into one game. And Sega promptly mismanaged and bungled that game into shit. But what you get is one of the best JRPGs of all time. Like, Skies of Arcadia has a overly optimistic protagonist who isn't annoying, who you don't want to punch in the face.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because normally you play an RPG that has like a Titus type protagonist. You're like, I hate you.
Yeah.
If a car would run you down and kill you, I'd be happy. Whenever I have the choice, I take you out of the party so I don't have to hear your fucking voice. And yet, Vise from Skies of Arcadia is amazing. Like, he's like, wow, I like this character. I like his weapons. I like his attitude. I like how cool he is. I like his outfit. It's a shame that Sega dropped the ball on Skies of Arcadia. I wish they'd make a sequel.
Yeah.
Next, number 9, Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door.
Yeah, that's a pretty good game. It's like the whimsical in that game. It's simple, but not every game needs to be hardcore complex. And,
Well, sir, I hate to break this to you. Keep on playing. There's some hidden mechanics in that game that ain't simple, and you're going to be like, oh shit, this has got some depth to it. Once you figure out how to do those perfect counters, like instead of pressing the A button, you press the B button right before an enemy hits you. You can like knock enemy spears back at them to hit them. You can like counter so it does no damage to you and it damages the enemies. It's amazing.
wow. Oh,
Oh
interesting.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's Thousand Year Door. There's a reason that fans of the franchise are like, every other game that came out after Thousand Year Door, we're like, yeah, you're fucking up.
Yeah,
You're fucking
yeah,
up. Fire Emblem Awakening. Okay, I have to agree. Fire Emblem Awakening is really fucking good.
yeah,
It's really good. It's so good. It's a
yeah,
shame they haven't made anything that good yet.
yeah. That
Kingdom
was a
Hearts
pretty good game.
2.
Well, at least
Uh,
for me, it was okay.
yeah.
The action game, the action stuff, they improved. There's a sour part where it's like you have this 4 hour tutorial at the beginning of the game. It's like, what? Why? What?
But that's RPG tropes 101.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't, whatever. Oh,
But with that
style.
being said, I got to disagree because I don't think Kingdom Hearts is an RPG.
Yeah, probably doesn't. It doesn't need to be
It's
on
more of
this
an action
list.
adventure game than an RPG. But
Yeah, it has Tense and Phoenix Downs and all the other Final Fantasy PS, but it's really not an RPG.
yeah, Mother 3. I've played Mother 3. It is I personally like I know a lot of people like Mother 3. I think Mother 3 is a little too damn dark for me.
Yeah,
Um I personally this is just me. I would rather see a sequel to Earthbound where they kind of treat Earthbound like It Part 2 where like Lucas Ness Ness what's his name? Ness Pooh, Paula and Jeff grow up but like they think what happened was just like a weird dream they shared, like an imaginary like you hang out with your friends with your imaginary your tree house that you thought was a fort and all that shit, but it turns out it was all real, and now they got to come back as adults to finish off Pokey
the
because it
thing
turns out he
about that,
really is evil.
yeah, the thing about that game, is that game is actually kind of hard at first.
Earthbound.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the difficulty curve is reversed in Earthbound. It suffers from Breath of Fire 1 syndrome. Breath of Fire 1 has the same thing where the opening of the game is really hard. The bosses are insanely tough. And then as you get party members, the game gets way easier.
yeah,
Um Earthbound has a few fights where the difficulty spike. Like the second time you fight Lord Barf, I'm like, okay, he's not even weak to ice anymore, and I can't use the putrid jelly to distract him. So it's just a war of attrition. And the bosses have no tells when you're like, oh, he's about to die. He's about to die. No, it's like Earthbound's difficulty curve in their fights are very like up and down, up and down. It's one of the flaws of the game. It's what keeps it from being up there with like a Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 6 or a Lufia 2, stuff like that.
yeah,
But it's still
yeah.
pretty good though. Yeah, Mother 3, I personally wouldn't put it on this list, but I know why some people like it. Too bad Nintendo will never localize this game, so the only way you can play it is through. And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, they just don't.
Final.
People just have to live with the fact that they just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
They don't want
Nintendo's
to
like, we
localize
just
it.
don't care.
Yeah,
And if you like here, this is why when I hear people say, "Oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that," I'm like, look, if they want it, like here's the thing: if you don't make a product available for me to purchase that I want to purchase, and the only way I can get it is by, then I'm gonna have to do, and that's just the end of it.
yeah,
It's not my fault. It's the company's fault for not making it available.
yeah,
Like that's not me. That's you. You know, like I'm tired of people. Oh, well, you shouldn't do that. If they can't localize it, that's not my problem. Number 5, Final Fantasy 6. I agree.
yeah,
My only caveat is if you ever really want to enjoy Final Fantasy VI the way it was meant to be played, get Final Fantasy VI, the Japanese version, and apply any of the myriad of English patches to it. It's even better.
Yeah.
because it's less censored, and darker. Then I mean, Final Fantasy 3 is already really dark, but it's even darker. The Japanese version is even darker. So I like it. And in my opinion, it is the best Final Fantasy ever made. Better than
Yeah.
7, better than 10, better than 9, better than 12. Final Fantasy 6 is the best. Number 4, Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I agree. I think Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, is the most ambitious of the original series. I think every other Xenoblade Chronicles game has just gotten less and less ambitious. Like 2 was really dumbed down. 3 was less dumbed down than 2. Like they made it a little bit more complex. But why is it on the Wii, the shitty little Wii, which was basically a Super GameCube? Why could we have a game where I could wear 2 different outfits, my battle outfit and my cosmetic outfit, and I could switch between the 2 outfits on the fly while I'm fighting? Why can't I do that now on ostensibly more powerful hardware in the newer games?
Because they decided not to do it. That's as far as I'm concerned. That's as far as I, that's the only explanation I guess. Because simply they just didn't want
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah. It just
I don't
it
know.
seems. I mean, it's like they lost the ability to do shit that they used to be able to do. I don't understand it. But what I will say about the original Xenoblade Chronicles, there's a twist at a certain point in the game where you don't see it coming. It's like, oh shit! Ah! And it's amazing. Persona 5 Royal, number 3. Um, I personally prefer Persona 4 a little bit better.
Yeah. Man, but I haven't played Persona 5. I started it up when I first bought it. And I understand that you don't need high frame rates for uh, those kind of game for because it's a turn-based game. But
Uh-huh.
man, seeing
That kind of
the
took you out of it, the screen tearing.
no, it wasn't this. It wasn't the screen tearing. You had screen tearing issues. I was just gonna
Well,
say,
because I turned off the VSync, and VSync I typically don't like to use for most of my games because my monitor, I have a smart monitor, so it typically deals with that. But this game is frame rate is at 30 frames, it's not 60. So
I don't know. There's a 120 frame option on.
really,
Yeah, if you go into settings and
okay, then I'll take a look at that.
seeing the
But for
care.
the time being, I was having some issues with that, but then I turned on VSync and it fixed it. I mean, I like Persona 5. I got the Royal version on PC where you can uh, so I get the best of both worlds because I put all my characters in the Yasugami high school video. So when you beat enemies, it plays the Yasugami. It plays the Persona 4 screen, end screen. Like you beat enemies stuff. So it's like I'm playing a weird version of Persona 5. I mean Persona 4.
So yeah,
You defeat enemies. I'm like, what are you doing in here? Except the character looks nothing like the character from Persona 4. He's got
the thing,
glasses and shit.
the thing is, seeing those characters move or seeing the, animations move at a super high frame rate, with that art style was pretty mind blowing to me. But
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. But
I wasn't
that's
aware of
just
that.
me. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, for me, Persona 4 has it's like they threw everything in the kitchen sink into it, and it's almost overwhelming the amount of shit that's in Persona 5. It's like, God damn, this is a lot of stuff.
yeah,
That being
yeah,
said, Persona 5, it's a little hand-holding in the beginning of the game.
yeah.
It's a little too hand-holding in the beginning of the game. Matter of fact, to the point where I had to reinstall Windows on my PC because it got corrupted. And I'm having to start all over again. I'm like, God, I got to go through. So I'm playing it with a trainer and I'm speeding it all up so I can get back to where I was because I'm like, Jesus, this shit is taking a long ass time.
Yeah.
But aside from that, Persona 5, I put it just a little bit not quite. A little bit don't quite like it as much as 4, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Number 2, Near Automata. Or sorry, Automata. Near Automata. I'm just have one caveat. I don't think it's an RPG, but a lot of people like this game.
It's okay. The action stuff is pretty interesting. Um, I don't think the story is necessarily as great as people say it is because I looked up a breakdown of it. But it's pretty fun for what it is. I just
Well,
think the story takes itself way too seriously.
Well, the problem with Nier Automata is that in order to get the full story, you have to. It's one of those games where you have to play it twice.
Yeah.
It goes and goblins it, and if you're not one of those people who doesn't want to play a game twice, which is why it's good that it's not that long. But if it's a game where you have to play something twice, like most people, and it's a platinum game, which means there's really shitty difficulty spikes and enemies just get it's like this is ridiculous because platinum has never mastered difficulty curves. The only platinum game that has a relatively decent difficulty curve that platinum has made is Okami.
Yeah.
And even that game has there are these demon doors where they start out easy. It's like you have to go into camera mode and hit these certain dots on these doors properly, these brick walls. But then by the end of the game, it gets insane. It's like, Jesus, this is really hard. So, I mean, even then, I'm just like, yeah. So, the number one greatest JRPG of all time. This is according to what culture? Guess. I'll give you 2 guesses.
Final Fantasy VII.
No.
No. Surprising.
Get one other chance.
Chrono Trigger.
Zing! You got it. You got it. The number one greatest JRPG of all time is Chrono Trigger. I agree. Chrono Trigger deserves it. Chrono Trigger, everyone's always like, I want to see Cloud and Smash Brothers. I'm like, fuck Cloud. I want to see Chrono in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Give us Chrono, or hell, give us Chrono. Give us all 7 characters in Chrono Trigger. Give us Chrono, Luca, Marl, Magus, Frog, and Robo. No, that's 6. Sorry. No, wait. Chrono, Luca, Marl, Magus, Frog,
I forgot Ayla.
and Robo.
Ayla.
Yeah, Ayla. So, 7. Ayla. Give us all 7 characters.
Yeah.
And have them play differently. Hell. Chrono would look, if in a straight up fight, I would put Chrono. Oh shit! I'd put Frog up against Cloud and Sephiroth at the same time. Frog would fuck both of them up, especially if he had the Master Mune. It's like, oh wait, you stabbed some little special girl in the back. Oh, that's cute. And you know what I did with my Mass Mune? What? I sliced a mountain in half, bitch. Well, I'm a tall, long-haired guy who's tried to destroy the world because of my mother. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. You know what I did? Me and my team of heroes fought a time-devouring parasite that literally manipulated the entire evolution of an entire species for thousands of years in order to drain all the life force from the planet in order to create babies and send them off to other worlds in order to drain their life force. What did you do? I'm just a clone of some alien shit that fell from the sky. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so Chrono Trigger, number one greatest JRPG of all time. I agree. There's no reason to talk about it. It's the best. And if you disagree, you're wrong. No argument. It's just you're wrong. So with that being said, yeah, that was my free topic. Do you have a free topic you would like to share?
Yeah, looks like Starfield got pushed back again. It's rumored that it's going to get pushed back again. So it might come out near the end of this year. I think it was supposed to scheduled sometime around spring or summer, but it might come out the last half of this year. That game is busted and disgusting.
Yeah, it's probably a broken piece of shit. Here's what I'm gonna say. Normally I would say, oh, that's terrible, but considering how badly made Bethesda makes their games, it might be a good thing for that game to be pushed back.
Yeah, that game needs another 8 years in the cooker. No,
I mean,
maybe not
I
that
wouldn't.
long.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. The problem with Bethesda is that, and there's a YouTuber called Zarek Zacharon. He's gone over it multiple times. The problem with Bethesda is that Bethesda has essentially they've been using the same engine for like 15 years. It's not even their engine. It's the engine that they got from the Interplay when they bought the Fallout IP from them. They also got that engine. Yeah. And they've just been slapdashing and throwing shit on this engine for the last 15 years. Longer than that, like 18 years, okay? They've just been throwing shit on top of it just to keep it rolling, okay? And here's the thing. You can't have, like, even if you have an impeccable, amazing engine, if you don't upgrade it and clean the code every like 5 or 6 years, at least, your engine, and you just keep on throwing shit on top of it and bubblegum and taping the code so that it just barely runs properly, you're going to wind up having this Frankenstein monster of an engine where nothing can be fixed, nothing runs properly. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I was Bethesda, the first thing I would have done instead of announce Starfield and all this shit, oh, Starfield, blah, 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 we're going to do this, I would have been like, look, if I was honest and I was at Bethesda, I'd say, look, this code is a fucking mess. It is a broken piece of shit. Microsoft, you have coders. Microsoft has some of the best coders in the tech industry. I would say, could you please send someone over here to help us overhaul this shit? Because that's what needs to happen. Like, they need to overhaul the engine. It needs to be completely overhauled from the ground up.
Because what they showed last year was borderline unacceptable, in my opinion. Just by, it's like, you guys are coming out with this next year, really? In this state? Hope God not.
So at this point, what needs to happen is they need to, like I said, someone should have like when they got bought by Microsoft, they should have said, look, we cannot get this game out in a state where it will be acceptable. We need someone to overhaul. Could you please send a team of engineers, coding engineers over here to overhaul this engine for us? Please. Because it needs to be, we've been putting it off for too long. That's what they should have done. But it's Bethesda and it's Todd Howard, and now Bethesda just doesn't care. They've been coasting along using the same sorry ass shit for years now, and
Yeah. Well, in any case, anything else you'd like to bring up before we close out the stream?
No, that's it. Just I'm not surprised that it got delayed, and I keep on telling people this. They need to overhaul their engine, but no one wants to, you can only coast on. You can only coast for so long.
Yeah.
And they've been coasting a long, long ass time.
Yeah. Well, we'll give our sign outs and we'll hit the dusty trail.
All right. I'll go first. This is Red Fox. I'm a proprietor of BS Busters, and have a podcast every Wednesday. BS Buster Cast every Wednesday. Talk about video games, movies, pop culture, etc., etc. Mostly bring attention to stuff that's total and complete bullshit, and then we essentially talk about it. So with that being said, that's the end of that's all I had to say. If you want to be a part of my cast, just let me know, and I'll send you some. You can get in touch with me on my channel. There's links to my Discord and the official BS Busters email.
Alright, and this is Kenoshi Abominito here with another Project Console, episode 60, frames per second. Glad for anybody who watched live or who will watch the upload. Every Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is that's when we have the show. So have a good week, have a good weekend, and have a good life. Catch you guys next week.